What's up, y'all? What's up? I threw this one together quickly, so bear with me. As far as if I'm searching for elements and other stuff I want to share and discuss. But the halftime show discourse is amusing to me, so I did actually want to get into that and touch on Bad Bunny, and give you my thoughts on that and some other stuff, in the music industry, if you will, and greater, broader entertainment. But real quick, I will start with the latest episode of as the CBA turns in the WNBA. I do feel like we are in a rubber meets road situation this week when it comes to that, because time is running out for the season not to be delayed. And the league, we're waiting to hear back on how the players have responded to the league's latest proposal. The league did send them a proposal on Friday. So it came in on Friday. My understanding is that, or a source with knowledge of the situation tells me that the concessions made were more so around housing for players, specifically players on a certain tier in the league who are not the big name players and what like, but a concession on the housing there as far as certain players on a roster go, and also facility standards. Those were two of the biggest things. There was also a raise in the salary cap number from like 5 million to 5.65 million. So it didn't jump crazy, but there was an increase in that number. So that's basically, that. There's also the question about revenue share, and I don't know enough about how different that was, but it doesn't seem like it was significant. And of course, that's been the big holdup, the big delay, all of those things, is when it comes to the revenue share. And the other part of it, that is sort of concerning is the players shared the other day. They shared a video. The Players Association did shared a video about the 1964 the 1964 NBA All-Star strike. And here it is. I'll just play you some of that video they shared the other day around that situation. And this was on their account, and it basically talked about how timing is everything in a strike. And well, guess what's coming up this weekend? Sorry, is that not playing? I got the wrong screen shared. Hang on one second. Let me switch that over. Here is the video.
Ever. Today, NBA superstars are some of the most highly paid, respected, and influential athletes in the world. But rewind just a few decades, and you find a league where players were treated like replaceable parts in a busted machine. Before the bright lights, endorsements, and billion-dollar TV deals, players were fighting just to get a fair shot. In 1964, they ran the most important full-court press in NBA history, and won. In the 1950s and early 60s, the NBA was a struggling upstart. Players traveled on cramped buses, stayed in cheap motels, received next to nothing per diems, and played brutal back-to-back schedules with no off-season protections. They had no collective bargaining, no guarantees, and no real rights. Locked into restrictive contracts, players couldn't change teams. Injured players were treated as disposable. One bad break could end a career, and retirement came with no pension and no safety net. Even the biggest stars weren't spared. Bill Russell, the greatest winner in American team sports with 11 NBA.
All right, so you get the point. Talking about the gravity of that strike, and then the phrasing, timing is everything. So put two and two together. You don't have to be a master at reading the tea leaves for that to be a warning or a threat that there could be a strike around the NBA All-Star game this coming weekend. If the players, let's say, were to huddle up on these this proposal, say it doesn't meet enough of our asks, and then decide they're going to strike at All-Star. Otherwise, why are you putting that post up? What's the point? Now, there are rumblings that the players aren't all on board with a plan like that. Obviously, you have some players who are more in tune with that position, and then players who don't think it's a good idea. And some of the big name players have come out and spoken out about wanting to have a season, including Caitlin Clark, obviously. So ideally, this proposal from the WNBA gets a counter proposal from the players, and then it's all signed, sealed, and delivered, and we move on with our lives. That's what I hope. That's what I hope. But it is what it is. That's about my update on that. I'm not gonna go to like Kevin says in the chat here, all this CBA hurts my head. I just want to see some ball. And I think, most people are at that point now. It has gotten past the point of exhaustion for everybody involved. And I think everybody would like to move on. So I'm going to move on. Some other news out of women's hoops today, though. Ari McDonald suffered an injury at the beginning of Unrivaled, and now she's out for the season. So that's a bummer, because she had gotten hurt in August regarding the fever. She was hurt with the fever in August and didn't play until January. And I remember her posting at the beginning that, she was excited because it's been 5 months since she's been on a basketball court and all that. And now she's officially out for the season. She got hurt in the first game at Unrivaled. Hurt at the first game at Unrivaled. Hasn't played since. They are saying it is a lower right extremity injury. So it was her right foot, I believe, that she hurt. A lot of questions, about who's going to be on what team and how things are going to work out. She's one of the free agents. Obviously, she was on the Fever because of the hardship situation, and her teammates really, really loved her and really do love her. I mean, she had them on a podcast the other day. It was Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston who were on the podcast with her. And this is the end of the clip here. Let me find it. Stop this one and pull this one up. But this is what was said about Ari in that clip.
Came this past season. That was, like I said, it was random because it's like, damn, like and so once Ari started playing with us, it was like, yeah, like she can't stop playing with us.
Need that.
Like,
no, literally, I literally,
like, I'm like,
literally, we were like, what?
This is our time to shine.
I'm gonna make it.
In that same podcast, Kelsey Mitchell talked about her loyalty to the Fever having a cost back in the days because of, how much of a struggle it was, of course, for so long with the Indiana Fever early in her career, as she worked her way, into her career, and then all the young players come in and you start to win a little bit. So she talked about how the loyalty might be paying off or has paid off, and then jokingly said, like, we'll see. Of course, she's a free agent as well. But we'll all that will shake out, and hopefully there'll be more concrete things to talk about in the coming days as far as how that's going to work, and if there will be a free agency and who will be on what team. All those things certainly matter and are important. I see a lot of people saying that the older players are going to be in trouble with this CBA versus the younger player. I mean, I can see, I know they went to Athletes Unlimited the other day as well. And, you have to survey all the players because a strike could, if you push it far enough, obviously you miss games and then you miss pay. And there are a lot of players who aren't necessarily in a position to do that. And, some of the speculation would be that the older players would be wanting to cash in as far as right now versus the younger players, for their work served, if you will, versus the younger players, wanting to get this transformative salary structure. Because even without the revenue, you're talking numbers that are 4x, more than 4x the average salary. So we'll see how that shakes out. We'll see how that shakes out. Let's get to some of the other more fun stuff. Super Bowl, Bad Bunny. I said on X, or formerly known as Twitter, that there's a saying, music is the universal language, right? Or music is a universal language. And I feel like that applied to Bad Bunny yesterday. I'll be real with you. Like, I ain't know that many Bad Bunny songs. I knew a few. I've heard a few. I knew he was a big deal. I really was introduced to Bad Bunny by WWE when he came out against Damian Priest at Backlash. And by the way, I'll be on with Denise Salcedo after Raw tonight. So make sure you check that out for the wrestling fans in the audience. So I'll be on with Denise after Raw. But I really was sort of introduced to Bad Bunny through WWE and that match. And, that song was a banger too. I don't even think he did that last night, like Chambea, Holla. But you can go somewhere and listen to music and appreciate music and, vibe with it without having to necessarily know the words, right? And I get it. This is America. So there, was a little bit of that in the reaction as well. A little bit of that in the lead up in the discourse. But the halftime show is always made out to be this like huge, bigger, controversial deal than it really is, right? I mean, this was it's a concert. And that the halftime show, in my opinion, is generally excellent. It's generally excellent. And it's the top performers in the world putting on the best show that they can. And it just comes down to preference beyond that. Now, you could say there was a bit of, a political statement in the choice this time around, considering what's going on with ICE and immigration enforcement and how crazy that situation is and tragic in some cases, obviously. But the basic message here is unity, right? Like, that's what Bad Bunny came out with. That's what he was selling to everybody. That's what the takeaway should be. It's like, we're all in this together, right? And he was standing up for Puerto Rico, of course, as well. But I find it so hilarious how worked up people can get about stuff like this. Like, where they're just, it's almost like it's a cartoon. There's no way anybody was that mad that Bad Bunny was the choice. Right? Like, and it just, because the people just, it's for every freaking situation. We have to be on these like extremes, and people have to take their little talking points and run and yell and do all this stuff. And it's exhausting after a while. As a human being, that music was a bop and the imagery was dope. And it was, like a celebration of culture. And it was a good concert at the halftime show. That's basically all there is to it. And no, I did not see any of Kid Rock. I saw a couple of the clips that were out there. But man, oh man, the halftime show just, it draws a lot of reaction on a year in and year out basis. And, it's Jay-Z and Rock Nation who picked the halftime show. They've done it since 2019, I want to say. And, he was out there with the hoodie that perhaps could be teasing a new album release. And then you go into the comment section of that and you see like just how quickly wild information spreads on the internet too. You know, there's I guess I'll just talk about it. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan for anybody who is unaware. But that doesn't mean I would just be loyal or defend anything as far as he goes. Like if there's something that was out there and it's worth, rejecting, I would certainly do it. But there's this like Epstein stuff. And for anybody who took like a second to actually look at that stuff, what's actually in there in reference to him and Pusha T and Eminem, I believe as well, specifically, is not any connection with Jeffrey Epstein, not any Jeffrey Epstein trips, not any call logs, like the official records that are in there, like the court documents and the official calls and the emails and with a bunch of other people you're not even hearing about right now because Jay's that big a star, I guess. But it's a tip line that literally anybody could call, where the timing of what's in the tip line information makes no sense whatsoever. And again, it's just like not verified, not investigated, not a lead, not an actual accusation, just somebody called a tip line and said some stuff that, I don't want to go and give it too much oxygen because it's just the what's in there doesn't even line up or make sense either. But it's everywhere out online too. And just, and forget it, Jay or whoever, that goes for everything nowadays. Like things that are just factually untrue or completely misleading just get spread all over the place. It's in this YouTube space too. Like you'll see, Caitlin Clark has quit the WNBA or something like that all the time in headlines and thumbnails and the like. So, yeah. But if you're mad about Bad Bunny, blame Jay-Z. I'm hoping the Game Needs Me hoodie is a tease for an album or something, because if you know the lyrics, can't leave rap alone, the game needs me, from Izzo on the Blueprint. And I could use some new music that's exciting because that J. Cole project was not it. Complete chore to try and get through that. Snooze fest. Anyhow, I'll get to the comment section now. We're just really here to hang out, kind of an impromptu live stream. I've been really busy all day. As you can tell, by the way, before I get any questions on it, and I don't even know why I'm pointing it out, but the background is a work in progress. But getting on, making the changes there as well. Get those likes and subscribes in down here. Comments, member chats, super chats, go first as always. I also know I'm on later in the day than normal. So again, not really planned. Not really a big structured, important show today. It was just kind of winging it and figured it was worth having some fun. I'm sure the Super Bowl numbers for Bad Bunny are going to be crazy too. I see some of the stuff that's out there reported, but I don't think those numbers are out either. I don't think NBC has actually reported the numbers as of yet. Can You Relate says you can't even blame Jay-Z. He provided an entertainer. The entertainer is not going to be for everyone. It's hard to please the masses. Well, I mean, the choices in the last 2 years specifically, I would say, are really, really appropriate. Like nobody had a bigger year than Kendrick Lamar, perhaps in the history of hip hop last year. And when it comes to, Bad Bunny, he's like the most streamed artist in the world right now, not to mention again, I don't even call it a political statement because he didn't make a political statement as much as he said, together we're stronger. Love is better than hate. I mean, like things that nobody should argue with. It was, I think there was an American flag there. Obviously, Puerto Rico, a part of America. And, it was like thumbs up, guys. There was literally nothing anybody could misconstrue and take the wrong way. But as far as the, state of the country and the immigration debate and the horrific things that happened in Minnesota with ICE, it was, I guess you could say, politically timed in that regard. And of course, he did the whole thing in Spanish, which again, I was not, mad about or furious about. I did not understand the words. And I wasn't like excited when Bad Bunny was chosen either, by the way. So don't like get it twisted. I wasn't like, yeah, it's not like my thing. I wasn't out there like bumping a bunch of Bad Bunny. So I wasn't pissed off about it. I mean, I wasn't pissed off about it, but I wasn't like excited about it either. But it was a dope ass concert. And there was just nothing to be mad about. I just, if you're that mad about that, something is wrong. Something is wrong. So let's get to the some more of the comments, member chats. Super chats go first. By the way, the game was so blah that nobody's talking about that, right? I don't think anything has, anybody's been talking about the Seahawks winning the game, like JS and K says here. Bonus, Seahawks won. Oh, by the way, but aside from Denise's show too, I'll be on with my friend Ty Butler on his YouTube channel at like 3:00 today. Probably talking about some of the same stuff. Do I think there will be a strike? I'm worried. I'm certainly concerned. I think, I don't think it's a coincidence. They put that video out timed around, about timing, talking about the NBA All-Star strike. I don't think that's a coincidence. I also don't think, I think there, I don't think there's complete agreement on that either. And if enough of the big name players are not on board with that, then it certainly could just be fizzle out the idea. And then, again, it's just tough for me when with the economic reality of the deal. Like I understand the revenue share thing, but when you go from one agreement to the next and you get as big a jump in salary as the players are set to get, that is generally considered a big win. Now, I know that the league itself, they've already put out, it's already been reported, feels like, at the number the players are proposing, they would lose some sort of absurd amount of money. But it is my understanding that even like, a 5% jump could put them in that position where they feel like they'd be operating in the red. And then there's the sustainability aspect of things, as if like, can this be something that continues to grow at the level that it's grown versus it being sort of a bubble? But you can't figure that, out and get the answer to that without being on the court. Rachel Demita said we should be panicking more than we are right now. I can't speak for Rachel. I can tell you, panicking. What are we panicking about? Look, I think it's certainly a real possibility the season gets delayed. we're already close enough where that's a very real possibility. Do I think the season will be canceled? No. I don't think anybody can afford that. And I still think, like they can do things on their own time. So can they figure it out fast enough to get it going? I hope so. I hope so. When you have a halftime show like this, it is just a disaster. What do you mean? I don't, what was a disaster? I don't, I appreciated the imagery. I appreciated the choreography. I appreciated the beats. You even got some Lady Gaga in there for any of those who really wanted some English. She's sang in English. So Bad Bunny was horrible and a huge loss for the NFL. How is it a huge loss for the NFL? When you say a statement like that. Next year, the alternative concert halftime show will be close to 30 million running out of the NFL broadcast. No. I mean, I am going to guess this. I will guess this. I don't have the official numbers, but I will guess that Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show will be the most viewed event in American television history. That's my guess. Because last year's was. So if it increases off of last year's, it is the most viewed event in American television history. I think the NFL is going to be okay, guys. I think the NFL will survive Bad Bunny. Yo hablo español un poco. I didn't understand his lyrics, but I understand beats. I understand vibes. It was a vibe. I understand messaging. And the messaging was, we're all in this together. Right? But no, not if you just judge the announcement of a Super Bowl halftime act. How could you do this in America? Or like, you guys, if you don't like Bad Bunny, you should be shot into the sun. I mean, like, enough. It was a good concert. It's a good show. The Super Bowl halftime show is always a good show. Almost always a good show. It's the best performers in the world putting on the best show they can. Entertaining. Bad Bunny was entertaining. We have degrees of what we like. We have taste in music. But it's some bar with the bullshit to think Kid Rock is going to draw more people. And you see those memes of Jay-Z smiling and laughing? That's because every Super Bowl halftime he's put together has worked when it comes to generating conversation and then when it comes to numbers, which, it helps when it's the NFL, which is the single most popular thing in this country. So there you have it. I mean, I used to live uptown in New York, by the way. A lot of, Puerto Rican, a lot of Dominican culture up there. It'd be just fun to walk the streets on a Saturday night and feel the vibes and get caught up in the energy and stuff like that too. It's just wild. I mean, how could you possibly be that angry? Like, how could you possibly be that angry? I don't understand. If you assume mild criticism and holding standards is losing your or being mad, you're a little spun up in your head. Oh, well, a mild criticism is, I see a lot of people like threatening boycotts or talking about like how it's a slap in the face to whatever. It's one thing to say, I ain't feeling it. That's fine. You don't have to like it. Or I would prefer a different artist. And like Brett said, if you'd prefer to watch the other thing, fine too. Yeah, that's as we say, it's a free country, right? Yeah, I don't know if the WNBA can afford a prolonged strike. That would be a disaster for sure. And this is also true. We do all have biases, and I'm not trying to stir stuff up either myself. I'm just talking about it. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it is either. But it's just I find the discourse around it kind of amusing. Bad Bunny. I thought the stuff with the Paul brothers was a work at first too for WWE, but apparently not. Tay Boogie says, "Man, that halftime show was amazing." I thought so too. I thought it was awesome. Lou Flores, Bad Bunny performance was incredible. I should have just led with Bad Bunny today, honestly. I got to mix it up a little bit. I just wanted to make sure I was giving you guys the latest stuff that I had heard. Why was the game boring for me? Because it wasn't very competitive and not much happened in it. I mean, like I can get down with the defensive struggle and whatnot, but I also kind of knew the Seahawks were going to win the game the whole time. It never felt like the Patriots had much of a chance. There was that one period, what was it, 19-7 when the Patriots had the ball and you thought, okay, maybe they could make this interesting. But I knew it was over. We did discuss the CBA already, Katie. But I can fill you in. Long story short, the league sent the proposal on Friday. It contains some concessions on facilities standards and housing, because those were issues that were raised by the players in the meeting on Monday. So the league is trying to show it was heard, that was heard. Perhaps marginal change to revenue share, but nothing significant from my understanding, and a raise in the salary cap. Now we'll see what happens when the players get it and receive it, and where they go from here. I'm a little concerned about the possibility of a strike at the NBA All-Star game, considering their timing is everything post that they put up about the 1964 NBA All-Star strike. It wasn't technically their post, but they used it. And there's rumblings that not all the players are on the same page. And, if enough big name players don't want to go along with any of those plans, maybe things get worked out much more quickly. What I hope is, and this is how a negotiation would go, right? Like the players get this and they say, no, how about this? And then that's it. That's what I hope. The Toilet Paper USA Kid Rock show was viewed by, I don't know. Who cares? I don't care how many people watch that either. If you wanted to watch it. Kid Rock, though, Kid Rock has not been, like I said, Kid Rock was relevant when Limp Bizkit was relevant. I mean, to pretend Kid Rock is in Bad Bunny's league as a star right now is insanity. I remember Kid Rock when he came out. Like I said, Bob with the Bob. What else was Kid Rock? And he had the Sweet Home Alabama remake that was a pretty big hit. But yeah, I'm not like, you would think they could get like a bigger modern act if this was such a real movement than Kid Rock. What do I think about the Rakia situation? I mean, there's nothing to think. That's one of the reasons I haven't talked about it, is that it's a scary, horrifying situation. With anything legal, until I have all the information, I won't rush to complete judgment on things, but it certainly doesn't look good for James Pierce Jr. Certainly from what is out there, when you're talking about his career, his livelihood, all those things in real jeopardy right now, rightfully so, if the stuff is true, which is basically that he drove into her car to keep her from reporting it to the police. It seems like she's okay. That's the number one thing. My first thought when I saw it is she okay? And then beyond that, I mean, I hope it's not something that haunts her forever. I hope it's not something that, holds her back in any way, shape, or form. I hope the situation is handled properly by the authorities, but I don't have much else to say. I'm not going to provide you any unique insight, I don't think. It sucks. I think that had to do with Unrivaled, Shannon. Stewie said something about knowing a secret. I think that just was because the missed account replied to it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's CBA related. All right, guys, get any more member chats, super chats, and like I said, just an impromptu little fun live hangout session. Nothing too deep today. Just wanted to fire up the machine here. But I got a couple more minutes. Like I said, I'll be on with Denise later today after Raw. Roman Reigns getting the Patriots shout out. Too bad it didn't go too well for the Patriots. And I believe if I have my coordination right, I had told Ty I'd be on with him at 3 today. So if you want to hear more from me in like an hour, you can go over to his YouTube channel, Ty Butler. I'll retweet it or repost it on X. But otherwise, that, about wrap things up. I thought the halftime show was good. I think we're all going to survive it. In fact, I mean, it's like the perfect messaging, right? Like it's exactly what, you would hope. It's so like the antithesis of all the talk about it. Like so divisive over nothing. Yeah. Well, thank you. Good talk, everybody. Till the next one. Eat. Oh, wait. Almost ended it. How stupid would be an all-star picket line? I mean, I think, look, I understand the point of it. I understand the timing aspect of it, where they're saying all right, we're going to do this now because it's going to be maximum effectiveness. And this is the time to make a big impression. And this is the there may never be an opportunity like that to go back to music, lose yourself in the moment. You only get one chance. Mom spaghetti and all that. But I also think what I really think it would be is allowing the explosive growth to perhaps ruin the league and the momentum. It's like the greatest irony, right? You have this phenomenon in Caitlin Clark who comes in, and you have this, unprecedented explosion in interest and attention and everything around the league. And because of that, you get put into a position where you can negotiate for way more, and you get way more, even on the worst version of the deal. But then you push so hard that you do irreparable damage to the league. And when I say push it, I'm not even blaming anyone, but at some point it's on the players. I do think that at some point. The ball gets in their court where you're going to have, I mean, again, the salaries are 4x or whatever average. I think the max is 5x, something like that. It is a big increase where any give, just put any give on the WNBA side, and I could craft the press release for the win and the celebration. And it's also, the league side, even though they didn't think that the offer that the players presented was materially different, instead of giving them, say, the ammo by not responding, you could have responded in some sense earlier. But, the pressure is always on the players on the pay side more than the owners. Robin is spared from hearing frustrated Jets fans in New York on ESPN radio lament about losing Sam Darnold for nothing. I mean, like, yeah, I guess I understand. That's good talk radio. The Seahawks didn't win the Super Bowl because of Sam Darnold. He was good. Don't get me wrong. He played well, and there's nothing wrong with Sam. Don't misconstrue that as a Sam Darnold diss either. But there's so much more that goes into quarterback or goes into winning in football than quarterback. And when I watched the Seahawks in the postseason, the game against San Francisco, I knew they were going to win the Super Bowl after that game. And Darnold threw for 124 yards. That's how I knew they were going to win. They scored 41 points, and their quarterback threw for 124 yards. You know, like, they didn't win the Super Bowl because of Sam Darnold. Well, I mean, I feel like you could go that would be the point, is to pick it there at the All-Star game. I don't know the technical rules and everything. Satellite says prefers female halftime. That's fine. I mean, they did do Rihanna fairly recently, right? I thought Bad Bunny's a talent. He's good at all that. That's the real thing. Get you a man who can do both. But let's hope the deal gets done. All right, I stayed on longer than I thought. I was about to sign off, but any more member chats, super chats, get them in. Should Nike had a CC commercial teasing the sneakers? I don't think it's necessary. They just did the commercial at Christmas. I mean, it would have been cool, but Caitlin Clark sells herself. You could do it anytime. And Super Bowl commercials are a lot of money. So I understand why they wouldn't do it. I mean, like, you think they're not going to get a huge audience whenever they drop the commercial and whenever they drop the shoe? Is there actually more return on a Super Bowl ad than otherwise? I wouldn't bet on it. I don't even there's something in my brain now where I can't even process or watch commercials. Like, I just tune them out, even when I know I'm supposed to watch commercials for the Super Bowl. So I can't even tell you any of the commercials last night. You know, my brain has been trained to do that. Mike Nunn, by the way, thank you for the super chats throughout the show today. Very much appreciated. But yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal one way or the other. Nike didn't have any ad this year. No ad from Nike. All right. Any more member chats, super chats, comments, topics you want to throw out there? Let me know real quick. I do got to get some stuff done between now and my next appearance on camera. But I thought I'd give you guys the latest update and a couple thoughts on the ordeal, the struggle, the controversy that was the concert that took place at halftime. All right, guys, until the next one, eat.